हरे कृष्णा। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome back to the sixth day of part 4 of this course, Rediscovering Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So we have been discussing from the eastern section, second wave, about Sadhana Bhakti, and in that we have been discussing for the last many days the Angas of devotional service, the 64 limbs, of which we are discussing the 5 most potent limbs. And within that we are in the third limb, which is association of devotees. So yesterday we discussed in fairly good detail about that limb, but before that we completed the first 2 limbs, Shri Murter Angri Sevane Preeti, attachment to serving the lotus feet of the Lord, Shri Bhagavata Artha Aswadaha, relishing Srimad Bhagavatam. These 2 we discussed, and then yesterday we started discussing Sajatiya Ashe Snigde Sadhu Sanga Swato Vare. So we started discussing about association with like-minded, affectionate devotees. So in this context, we started first by discussing the glories of association of devotees. So in that context, we discussed Tulayama Lavenapi Naswargam Na Punarbhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Martyanam Kimutasishah. We discussed on this verse what is the value of a moment's association of a sadhu. So we discussed in fairly good detail the meaning of this verse. If one moment's association cannot be compared to even the highest goal that can be attained by practice of jnana, karma, yoga, or any of these things. Even though that one moment's association may just be able to give some agyata sukriti to that person, but still the value of that agyata sukriti is much more than even liberation. Because ultimately that agyata sukriti has the potential to reinstate that soul back in his loving relationship with Krishna. So therefore, it is like if a person has been, if a small child has been lost, so one person may take that child and deposit him in an orphanage, whereas the other person may start investigating who his father is. So even though one person has deposited the child in the orphanage, but this other person, even though he has just started that research, but the culmination of that research will take that child back to his father. So therefore, even liberation, the ultimate culmination and perfection of the path of jnana and yoga, is just like taking the child to an orphanage. Where is his father? Where is that loving relationship with his father, his mother, his family members? That is a whole different thing. The child cannot be completely happy. Of course, he will have some shelter, he will have some clothes, he will have some food, but living in an orphanage cannot be compared to living in the loving, affectionate embrace and care of his own father and family members. So therefore, the value of a moment's association of a sadhu cannot be compared to anything in this material world. What to speak of material world, even the attainment of liberation cannot be compared to that. So therefore, Prabhupada always says the greatest philanthropic activity in this whole world is to share Krishna consciousness with others, because that will take that living entity one step closer to Krishna. Then the second theme that we discussed was, what is the potency of a sadhu? What can a sadhu give? So in that context we discussed that his heart, as it is mentioned, Tomara Hridaye Sada Govinda Vishram. The Supreme Lord stays within the heart of a sadhu. And the Supreme Lord himself says, Sadhunam Hridayam Mahyam Madanyattena Jananti Naham Tebhyo Managabi. Sadhavo Hridayam Mahyam Sadhunam Hridayam Tvaham Madanyattena Jananti Naham Tebhyo Managapi. So Lord Narayan tells Durvasa Muni, what can I do? I don't know anyone else but my devotee, and my devotee does not know anyone else but me. So I am in his heart and he is in my heart. So therefore, with the association of sadhu, he emanates the Krishna Shakti in the form of Samvit, Sandhini and Hladini. And if one can bind that Shakti very close to one's heart, then one's faith in the path of devotional service will become extremely strong. Therefore, the foot wash, the foot remnants and the food remnants of sadhu are considered very, very special mercy. And then we saw that this association of a sadhu has these four elements: Sajatiya Ashe, like-minded; Snigdhe, affectionate; Sadhu Sangha, it should be a devotee's association; and Swatovare, it should be more elevated than oneself. So in that, we started seeing Sajatiya Ashe. Sajatiya Ashe means like-minded. And we saw three levels of like-mindedness depending on one's devotional development. So depending on one's own development and the availability of such an association, one chooses like-minded association in that way. And here we also saw the instruction of Hiranyakashipu to Prahlad Maharaj, very valuable instruction, but spoken inappropriately. But the instruction is very valid. How the association shapes a person's worldview, thought process, the way he looks at things, everything changes based on association. So we see people developing cynical attitude. We have people becoming terrorists because of association. Very nice people, kind-hearted people, the association changes, they become terrorists. There are people who develop hatred towards particular communities just because of their affiliation and association with particular kind of people. That's exactly what here Hiranyakashipu is telling. Yasya yat sangati pumso manivat syat satat gunaihi swakula ridyai tato dhiman swayutan eva samshrayet. Swayutan eva samshrayet. He will take shelter of those who has similar qualities or those qualities which he would like to imbibe in his life. So the quickest way of developing a particular skill or a particular qualities is to choose the right kind of association, like-minded association. So, so that is one thing that we saw. And then we discussed about snigdhe, affectionate. Affection is a very important element. So when affection is there, then people feel a sense of belonging. Where there is affection, people feel that this is where I belong because this is where my people are there. Therefore, one should invest. This is the most worthy investment, is to win the heart of a devotee and earn his affection. So one could give up any amount of material facilities and prosperity and position to earn the genuine affection of a sadhu. And what is the means to attain that genuine affection of a sadhu? Dadati pratigrunnati guhyamakyati pruchati bhungte bhojayate chaiva shadvidam priti lakshanam. Very simple process that Srila Rupa Goswami has mentioned. This is the way of earning affection of a sadhu. We discussed about this yesterday. And of course, the third element we did not discuss, but it is understood. The association should be with a sadhu only, should be with a devotee only. And the fourth very important element is swato vare. That association should be more advanced than oneself, or it should be mutually elevating association. Even if it is the association of equals, if both the equals are completely committed to progressing in spiritual life and they share a mutually common interest in devotional service and they have affectionate feelings towards each other, then that association can very powerfully inspire one's devotional service. And that association could be with equals, and that association could be just two people also. This reminds me of a story. I was reading Her Grace Yamuna Mataji's biography written by Dinatarani Mataji. Very beautiful, one of the most inspiring books that I have ever read. In that, there was a time when they chose, both Yamuna Mataji and Dinatarani Mataji chose to stay together and focus on properly practicing Krishna consciousness. But those were the fledgling days of ISKCON. Prabhupada was still there, and the leaders were just getting groomed by Prabhupada. And those were the days when the movement existed only within the temple, which means literally 100%, almost 100% of all ISKCON devotees in the world, which were only a couple of thousands, they all stayed in temples. This included the householders also. So therefore, the movement did not exist outside the temple, outside the temples all over the world. So devotees association, or being a devotee, means staying in the temple. That was the definition in those days. In the next about 45-50 years, the scenario has changed completely. Hardly 1% of ISKCON's devotees stay in temples in today's day and age. 99% stay outside. So in those days, we should remember that Yamuna Mataji and Dinatarani Mataji chose to stay separately and tried to, both were such genuine devotees and had such love for Prabhupada, such love for the process of bhakti. They had so much faith. They wanted to stay and practice devotional service nicely, away from the political scene, the so-called political scene. So, but because the movement was still in its fledgling state, most people thought that they were living outside the association of devotees. So all the leaders, they started criticizing them and telling them, your Krishna consciousness will fizzle out very soon because you are not staying in devotees association and you will not get Prabhupada's mercy. Prabhupada has said To think that one can progress in devotional service outside the association of devotees is only a hallucination. So you are in deep hallucination, you cannot progress in bhakti because you are not staying with devotees. They felt extremely heartbroken. And when Prabhupada had come to Los Angeles, both of them came to meet Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was so happy to meet them. He had such special love for Yamuna Mataji. And finally, they said, Prabhupada, we understand that we are displeasing you a lot. And Prabhupada said, I am not displeased with you. Oh, who says so? He says, but all the leaders are telling that we are not staying in devotees association. Prabhupada looked at both of them and he said, but you are living in devotees association. Then Prabhupada said, association could be 2 and association could be 200. And then he said, one could stay with 200 people and still not be in devotees association. But one could live with just one another person and could be powerfully connected in sadhu sangha. So it does not matter whether it is 2 or 200. What really matters is there existence of preeti, affection, and is that person more advanced than you? Or if he is equal, are both of you committed to march ahead in devotional service, encouraging each other in a loving way? That is what matters. And Prabhupada said, don't speculate. If you have a doubt, you just directly ask me. I am very pleased with you. Your program is really wonderful. Continue. So therefore, it could be even between equals who are committed to progressing together in Krishna consciousness while lovingly encouraging each other. So therefore, if you have to find out a more elevated association, then we have to understand that we should know how to find out elevated association. So Rupa Goswami mentioned in the next verse of Upadeshamrit, Krishneti yasya giritam manasadriyeta dikshasti chet pranatibhischa bhajantamisham shushrushaya bhajana vigyam ananyam anya nindadi shunya hridamipsita sangalabdya. So in this way, he speaks about 3 different categories of devotees: the Kanishtadhikari, the Madhyamadhikari and Uttamadhikari. But for that association to be sustainable in the long run, we have to learn to see beyond the layer of conditioning. Because what is immediately visible is that layer of conditioning. Just like when we go to dhams, the dhams are covered by a thick layer of conditioning. So therefore, the means of looking at the dham, if we want to see beyond the dham, then we have to see through our ears only. We cannot see through our eyes. You go to Vrindavan, what we will see is only commercialism. And all sorts of things we will see, deviations and different kinds of Sahajiya sects and whatever, what not, everything. And then you will, Loi Bazaar and all these things. But if we hear through our ears what that Vrindavan is beyond that wheel, beyond that materialistic wheel, then we have to hear through our ears. We have to see through our ears. Similarly, to appreciate anything connected to Krishna, we have to learn to look through our ears. And Rupa Goswami is telling, the first thing I am asking you to look through your ears is stop looking at the conditioning. Look at the person beyond that conditioning. That is what is the key to sustainable Vaishnava relationships. Drishtair swabhava janitair vapushascha doshair na prakritatvam iha bhakta janasya pashyed Gangambasona kalu budbuda fena pankair brahma dravatvam apagachati neera dharmair. He says that Ganga water does not get polluted during the rainy season. Its potency to purify a person is guaranteed. Similarly, if you just learn to look beyond the veil of conditioning of that particular devotee, you will see that purifying potency existing in him completely. So, Upadeshamrit is such a book in which in just 11 verses, Rupa Goswami takes a person from being on the materialistic platform to prema. And in fact, you can say only 8 verses. And then the last 3 verses glorify Vrindavan and Govardhan and Radha Kund, like that. But if you see, in 8 verses only he takes a person completely. So therefore, if you have to present such a subject matter, such a profound subject matter in just 8 verses, you can't afford to have any kind of redundancy. You can't keep repeating things. But if you see, Rupa Goswami uses, out of those 8 verses, he dedicates 3 verses to speak about association of devotees. How to develop affectionate relationship, the 6 exchanges, with whom? The 3 kinds of devotees, Uttama, Kanishta and Madhyama. And what should we be careful about in that association? Learn to look beyond the conditioning of the devotee. Separate his conditioning from that person. Oh, this is his conditioning. This is not that person. This is that person. He worships Krishna, he chants Krishna's name, he serves his Guru, he serves Vaishnavas. Rest all is his conditioning. It does not belong to him. It is not him. It may belong to him temporarily, but the process of bhakti is powerful. It will wipe out all that conditioning. So if we have to have sustainable relationships in Krishna consciousness, we have to learn to separate the conditioning from the person. And we should, na prakritatvam, he says, don't even see it as material, because it is going to go away very soon. And it should not be seen as material, because that conditioning, when present in a materialistic person, will perpetuate his stay in this material world. But the same conditioning seen in a devotee will eventually go away because of his sincere practice of bhakti. So therefore, Rupa Goswami is indicating that if you want a sustainable relationship with devotees, then learn to see beyond their conditionings. Then there can be sustainable relationships, devotee relationships. And then the next theme that we saw yesterday was that how the easiest way to develop loving relationships with devotees is to come together and discuss Krishna Katha. And we saw this verse, Parasparanu Katanam Pavanam Bhagavadyashah Mitoratir Mitotushtish Nivrittir Mita Atmanaha. The 3 benefits of coming together and discussing Krishna Katha with devotees is that one develops deep affection for each other, and one feels completely satisfied in each other's association, and one gets a positive inspiration to overcome their anarthas through mutual encouragement. And this is the key to success in devotional life. Then the last theme that we started discussing yesterday was how the association of devotees is more valuable than even the association of the Supreme Lord. And we saw the example of some of my relatives visiting GV and how they could appreciate the photo of Radha Ramanji standing there after actually hearing the glories of Radha Raman. So this is the key. Gaura Amar Jesabastane Koralo Brahmana Range Sesabasthana Heriboami Pranayi Bhakata Sange. So, appreciation of every particular limb of devotional service depends on our association of Pranayi Bhakata. Those who have deep attachment and attraction for that particular limb of devotional service, in their association, we can appreciate those limbs so deeply. Every limb, chanting, while sitting and chanting in the temple hall, it's a whole different experience when we are sitting with devotees and chanting. It is so much more easy to stay focused. When we are feeling lazy or sleepy, suddenly the devotee sitting next to us would wake us up, and then we would feel, oh, so many devotees are so enthusiastically chanting, and their enthusiasm will rub on our lazy mind also, and we become more enthusiastic. And if we feel distracted and inattentive, when we see so many devotees, attentively chanting, their enthusiasm rubs on us. Ekaki amar nahi paye bala harinama sankirtane. It is alone. It is very difficult to perform any limb properly. But in association, it becomes so relishable, so easy. So therefore, even the greatest of the great devotees, after having the association of the Supreme Lord, they prayed for association of devotees. Because even to appreciate the Supreme Lord is not properly possible without the association of devotees. The association of the Supreme Lord is like an exquisite feast, Chappan Bhog, whereas the association of devotees is like the Jatragni, the fire of digestion. The more powerfully it is blazing, the more appetite we have. The appetite is created in association, appetite for any limb of devotional service. Then when the Supreme Lord comes, there is so much appreciation. But then when that appetite is not there, when appetite is there, even the most ordinarily cooked food tastes like nectar. But when the appetite is not there, even the most exquisitely cooked, delicious meal looks very ordinary and non-appealing. So therefore, association of devotees is very, very vital. And in Bhagavatam, Kapila quotes this verse for indicating the dangers of bad association. But Jiva Goswami is quoting this verse here to make a very important point. Kapila says, Na tatasya bhaven moho bandhascha anya prasangatah yoshit sangad yata pumso yata tat sangi sangatah. He says, in this section, Kapila discusses about various kinds of asat sangha. He says, of all these various types of asat sangha, he says that the most degrading form of asat sangha is association with the opposite sex. Yoshit sangha. And he says, but there is one association which is more degraded. Yoshitam sangi sangha or tat sangi sangatah, as Kapila says here. He says, association with a womanizer is more degrading than association with women. So Jiva Goswami says, oh, this is a generic principle. And the opposite is also true. He says, just like Yoshitam Sangi Sangha is more degrading than Yoshit Sangha, similarly, Bhagavat Sangi Sangha is more purifying than Bhagavat Sangha. Bhagavat Sangi Sangha is association of devotees. Bhagavat Sangha is association of the Lord. He says, just like a womanizer's association is more degrading than the association with a woman, similarly, association with devotees is more purifying than association of the Supreme Lord Himself. So, this is what he says here. And then we will see a few prayers from Srimad Bhagavatam of those people who had attained perfection. They had attained the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. What do they ask for? First, we will start with the popular prayers of Vritrasur. So, Bhagavatam is such an extreme literature. It uses the prayers offered by Prahlad Maharaj, who was an Asura, prayers offered by Vritrasur, who was also an Asura, to teach us very vital lessons. Vritrasur offered only 4 prayers. But the Acharyas say the essence of Bhagavatam is there in these 4 prayers. The ultimate conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam is there in these 4 prayers. So, in those 4 prayers, in the first prayer and in the last prayer, Vritrasur prays for association of devotees. Even though he was a Nitya, he had attained the association of Lord Sankarshan. So, here it is mentioned, the first prayer he prays, Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moola Dasanu Daso Bhavitasmi Bhuyah Manasmareta Supate Gunamste Grinita Vakarma Karotu Kayah. Vritrasur says, O Lord, Aham Bhuyah Bhavitasmi, may I again and again Tava Pada Eka Moola Dasanu Dasa Bhavitasmi. May I again and again get the opportunity to be the servant of your servants. And in that, in acting in capacity as the servant of your devotees, let my mind always think of you. Manas Maret Asupatehe. Asu is life air, Asupati is the Lord of my life, Lord Sankarshan. May my mind always think of Lord Sankarshan. Vak Grinita Gunamste, may my words always glorify his qualities. Karma Karotu Kayah, may my body always engage in his service. Let me engage my mind in remembering the Supreme Lord, my words in glorifying his qualities, and my body in serving him, all under the guidance of your devotees. Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moola Dasanu Daso Bhavitasmi Bhuyah. This is what he is asking. And then in the 4th verse he says, Mamottama Shloka Janeshu Sakyam Samsara Chakre Brahmatah Swakarma Bihi Tvanmayayatmatmajadara Geheshu Asakta Chittasya Nanata Bhuyat. He says, Mama Bhuyat, my dear Lord, let me Samsara Chakre Brahmatah, who am wandering in this wheel of samsara. Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jatare Shayanam. Iha samsare bahu dustare, kripaya pare pahi murare, as Shankaracharya prays. Iha samsare bahu dustare, very, very difficult to cross this ocean of existence. Again and again repeated birth in the womb of a mother, which is very excruciating experience. He says, let me who am wandering in this wheel of samsara, uttama shloka janeshu sakyam, all I am praying for, my dear Lord, let me take birth again and again, I don't mind, but let me get friendship of the devotees. Let me be attached to the devotees. Mama uttama shloka janeshu sakyam. Friendship with devotees, that is what. This is the last statement that this is the last prayer that he offers. Then Indra cuts his throat. For months together, Indra is sitting there cutting Vritrasur's throat. And all the while, the most miserable person in this whole world is Indra. Indra has gained victory. Indra is in the process of killing Vritrasur. Indra is going to regain back Swarga. But who is the real hero? Indra is so morose. Vritrasur, while he is throat is getting cut by Indra, he's blissfully smiling. Because he knows that I am going back to serve the lotus feet of my Lord Sankarshan. And this Indra is just going to stay in this material world. So Indra is wondering, Indra is feeling extremely ashamed, and he is wondering, who is the devotee here? Is it this Asura, or is it me, the so-called king of the Devatas? Am I the devotee, or is he the devotee? So this is the contrast that Bhagavatam brings out. Yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. Bhakti can be practiced by anyone. Bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayutapaya, Prahlad Maharaj says. So, the Supreme Lord is pleased by bhakti, and bhakti can be practiced by anyone. Gajendra was pleased. The Supreme Lord was pleased with Gajendra. Bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayutapaya. Like that. Then, Bhaktivinoda Thakur asks, in his bhajan Manasa Deho Geho Jo Kichu Mor Arpilun Tuva Pade Nanda Kishore. In that bhajan he says, Janmao bhi moye icha jadi tor Bhakta grihe jani janma hao mora. So he says, Janmao bhi moye icha jadi tor. If it is your wish that I may take birth again and again, please grant me this one wish, this one benediction, my dear Lord. Bhakta grihe jani janma hao mora. Please ensure that I take birth in the house of a devotee. Bhukti mukti spriha vihina je bhakta labaite tanko sanga anurakta. He says, Sanga anurakta. I deeply yearn for the company of that devotee who is completely devoid of all desire for worldly enjoyment or liberation. So the greatest devotees, they value the association of devotees. And Parikshit Maharaj prays in the assembly of all great rishis and sages who were sitting there. Parikshit Maharaj says, Punascha bhuyat bhagavati anante rati prasangascha tadashrayeshu mahatsu yamyam upayami srishtim maitrestu sarvatra namo dvijebhyah. Namo dvijebhyah. Oh, best of the Brahmanas, I offer my respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. I am asking just one benediction. Yamyam upayami srishtim. In whatever birth I may receive. This is consistent. Devotees are not valuing liberation. They value association. So again and again the theme is consistent. If in every birth that I take, Bhagavati Anante Ratihi Bhuyad. May I have Rati or attraction for the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahatsu Prasangataha. And may I have excellent association with his devotees. So Prasangataha means excellent association. Excellent association means Sajatiya Ashe Snigde Sadhu Sangha Swatovare. That is excellent association. And in that association, discussing Krishna Katha, chanting the holy names, worshipping the deity forms of the Lord, Dadati, Pratigrannati, Guhyamakyati Pruchati, Bhumte Bhojayate Cheva. This is Prasanga. Prakrishta Rupena Sangha. Special association. Excellent association. So, Parikshit Maharaj is telling, every birth I take, please ensure that I have love for the Supreme Lord, attraction for the devotees, and friendship with all living entities. Maitrestu sarvatra namo dvijebhyah. May I have maitri towards all living entities, my dear Lord. And Kapiladev, while instructing his mother, Devahuti, Mother Devahuti had asked for, my dear son, I have wasted my life I had the glorious opportunity of taking the association of my husband Kardam Muni very seriously. But I didn't take it very seriously. Yattam vimuktidam prapya namumuksheyeha bandhanat, she says. You are vimuktidam, your association can give me liberation. But I didn't make proper utilization of your association. Na mumuksheyeha bandhanat. I am still not yet liberated from this material world. I am still attached to so many material things. And in that same mode, she tells Kapila Dev also. So she says that you are like a boat which can cross me over this ocean of material existence. You are like an axe which can cut this tree of samsara. So therefore, what should I do to get liberation? Kapila Dev says, Tayete sadavas sadvi sarva sanga vivarjitaha sangasteshu atate prartya sanga dosha harahite. He describes the nature of sadhus. Titikshava karunika suhridas sarvadehinam ajata shatrava shanta sadhavo sadhu bhushana. These are the sadhus endowed with all such qualities. Mai ananyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dridam matkrite tyakta karmanas tyakta swajana bandhava. But the prime quality of a sadhu is that Mai ananyena bhavena bhaktim kurvanti ye dridam. He worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead with great attachment and determination. That is the primary quality. Tayete sadavas sadvi sarvasanga vivarjita sangasteshu atate prartya sanga dosha harahite. You wanted destruction of this material attachment. That is possible only in the association of such sadhus. But then he says, but don't think that liberation is the highest benefit that you can get by association with these sadhus. Even though you may destroy the material attachments that you have in the association of sadhus, anartha nivritti will be accomplished in the association of sadhus. But don't stop there. What will happen if you continue to take their association? Satam prasangad mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana kata tajjoshanada shvapavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishyati. He says, my dear mother, if you continue to take their association, you know what will happen? Satam prasangad mama virya samvido. Satam prasangat, again he says, he uses the same word. Prasanga means special association, excellent association of those devotees. Mama virya samvido, you will slowly start realizing my glorious pastimes. This indicates the stage of nishta. The previous verse indicated that anartha nivritti will be very easily accomplished in the association of devotees. But if you continue to take their association more, then mama virya samvido, you can come to the stage of nishta where you can realize my pastimes. Then don't stop there. Bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kata. Then in their association, if you continue to discuss Krishna Katha, then those very same pastimes will become a nectarian beverage to your ears. This is the stage of ruchi, where one develops tremendous taste for the process of devotional service. But don't stop there. Tad joshanad ashu apavarga vartmani shraddha ratir bhaktir anukramishyati. But if you continue to take their association even beyond the stage of ruchi, then you will go through the stages of asakti, bhava and prema, which is indicated by shraddha, ratir, bhakti. So bhakti indicates prema, shraddha indicates asakti and rati indicates bhava. So therefore, in the association of devotees, you can progress from. So anartha nivritti is insignificant byproduct of bhakti. Like that Kapila Dev says. Dhruva Maharaj, standing right in front of the Supreme Lord, Prishnigarbha, who had come to give benediction to Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, standing right in front of the Lord, in the association of Supreme Lord, taking darshan of the Lord, he says, Bhaktim moho pravahatam tvayi me prasango bhuyad ananta mahatam amalashayanam yenanja solbanamuru vyasanam bhavabdim neshye bhavadgunakatam mritapana. He says, O Lord, bhuyad me prasangah, may I always have the association, special association. Again the word prasanga is used. 3 consecutive verses we are seeing the same word is used. Prasanga means special association, intimate association of devotees. Mahatam, great devotees. Amalashayanam, who have pure hearts. Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvayi, and who perform constant devotional service unto you, which flows like Mother Ganga flows towards the ocean. Gange vogam mudanvati. May I have association of your devotees. But the Lord may say, but you have my association directly. How will that association of devotees help you? He says, Yena, in that association, Bhavat Guna Katamrita Pana Mattaha. Mattaha means intoxicated. I will become intoxicated by discussing your Krishna Katha. Anjasa Neshye. And by discussing this Krishna Katha, I will easily cross over Ulbanam Uru Vyasanam Bhavabdim. This terrible ocean of samsara I can easily cross. So, it is mentioned that in Bhagavatam, in Ramayana, that when Lava and Kusha come to narrate Ramayana in the darbar of Lord Ram, Lord Ram is personally sitting in the throne, in his throne, and Lava and Kusha are narrating Ramayana in such an absorbingly sweet way that the whole of Ayodhya, they are just sitting with each other and relishing that katha in each other's association. They are slapping each other's thighs and their backs and they are laughing and crying. Whereas Lord Ram was sitting alone on the throne and he was not relishing it so much. He started feeling little envious in a good way towards all these people who were sitting. He saw that they are relishing it more than me. Then he got down from his throne, sat with all the other Ayodhya Vasis, and that's when he started relishing Ramayana. And suddenly, one person started slapping his thighs, and another person started slapping Lord Ram's shoulders. Another person was shaking him while he was laughing. And that's when Lord Ram was really appreciating the nectar of Ramayana. That is exactly what Dhruva Maharaj is telling. Please give me the association of your devotees. In their association, I will become totally intoxicated while discussing Krishna Katha, that I will totally forget this ocean of samsara. I will easily cross over it, no problem. Like that. So there is no end. We could go on discussing about this. There are so many nectarian verses in Srimad Bhagavatam glorifying the association of devotees. But time is not unlimited. Bhagavatam is unlimited. Time is limited. So we will have to somehow come to an end of this. And we will end with Srila Rupa Goswami's own glorification of the association of devotees in this beautiful verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where he says, Drigambobir dhauta pulaka patali mandita tanu skalan anta fullo dadad atiprutum vepatum api drisho kaksham yavan mamasa purushakopi upayayau na jane kim tavanmatir iha grihe na biramate. He says, ever since I saw a certain person whose body was washed with his own tears, Ashtasattvika Vikaras, which means a very advanced devotee. Ever since I saw that person and whose hairs were standing on end and who stumbled around with a joyous heart while quivering to the extreme, Vepatu. So these are the Ashtasattvika bhavas, the external symptoms of a person who has reached the stage of bhava or prema. The voice gets choked up, tears start flowing from the eyes, hair start standing on end, one starts trembling, and under extreme cases his body becomes completely pale, Vaivarnya, Vepatu, Gadgada, Sweda, he starts sweating, Pulaka, hair starts standing on end, Ashru, tears start flowing from the eyes. These are some of the 8 prominent symptoms. So here Rupa Goswami says, ever since I saw that person who manifested these symptoms due to genuine devotion, my mind has for some reason become so attached to the form of Krishna that I have no attachment to my family. Like that he offers his prayers. This is a glorification of the association of devotees, which is a very, very powerful limb. As we saw yesterday, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned that the Yuga Dharma of this age is not Harinam Sankirtan, but it is actually Vaishnava Seva. Of course, it is Harinam Sankirtan, but only in the association of Vaishnavas can we get the strength and appetite to even chant. So therefore, Prema Latikara Moola, the root of the Bhakti Lata creeper, is actually Bhakata Seva, serving, loving, affectionate, like-minded devotees. That is the root of the Bhakti Lata creeper. So in this way, the third limb, the third most potent limb of devotional service is described, which is Sajatiya Ashe Snigde Sadhu Sangha Swatovare. In fact, this is such a limb that if this one limb is followed, all the other limbs will automatically follow. So now, with that discussion about the association of devotees, we will move on to the fourth limb of devotional service, fourth most potent limb of the 64 limbs, which is Shri Nama Sankirtanam, chanting the name of the Lord. As we saw in one of the discussions before, Sankirtanam is defined by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his Shikshashtakam commentary. He says, Sankirtanam means Samyak Kirtanam, the complete Kirtan. The complete Kirtan means that in which the personalities do not have any offensive mentality. There is no offenses. So that is Shri Nama Sankirtanam. So, chanting of the holy name is the most powerful limb in this age of Kali. So, Srila Rupa Goswami starts this discussion by quoting this verse, Etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam akuto bayam yoginam nripa nirnitam harer namanu kirtanam. So, this verse comes in the second canto, first chapter. Parikshit Maharaj had asked Shukadev Goswami, my dear Lord, can you please tell me what is, can you please tell me what should be performed by a person at the time of death? What should he chant? What should he hear? What should he remember? And what he should not chant, not hear, not remember? Please tell this. What is the best thing for a person at the time of death and also for all people at all time? What is the best process to follow? So, Srila Shukadeva Goswami says, Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Ichchata Abhayam. My dear Parikshit Maharaj, anyone who desires fearless stay in this material world, he should practice bhakti, which is characterized by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Shrotavya, Kirtitavyascha, Smartavyascha, Ichchata Abhayam, he says. And then, in this verse, he says, but of the three, which is the most potent limb? He says, Etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam akutobhayam yoginam nripa nirnitam harer nama anukirtanam. O king, continuous chanting of the name of the Lord has been prescribed for the devotees. Nirnitam means nirnay ho chuka hai, means it has been concluded. There is no need to discuss further. This is the ultimate conclusion, that continuous chanting of the name of the Lord, anukirtanam, anu means continuous, anukirtanam, continuous chanting of the holy names is prescribed for nirvidyamananam, the devotees who have no desires, ichchatam, for those who have desire for liberation, and akutobhayam, those who desire material elevation, and yoginam, and also for the self-satisfied yogis. For all of them, the highest means of perfection is Harinam Sankirtan, especially in this age of Kali. So therefore, it is a very, very potent limb. The most potent limb actually in this age of Kali is chanting of the holy names. So, chanting is the principal method. Among those three, Shrotavya, Kirtitavyascha, Smartavyascha, hearing, chanting and remembering, chanting is the most potent. And there are many types of chanting, Nama Kirtanam, Leela Kirtanam, Guna Kirtanam, and so on. So he says, of all the types of Kirtan, Harinama Sankirtan is the most potent. And Anukirtanam can mean continuous chanting. Anukirtanam can also mean Anurupa Kirtanam, a kirtan that is suitable for one's, according to one's development in devotional service. Which means either chanting according to one's bhakti, or it could also mean continuously chanting. It could mean Anukirtanam as in continuous kirtan, or Anurupa Kirtanam means chanting according to one's bhakti. This has been ascertained, nirnitam, by the previous acharyas, not just me in the present time. It has been concluded by all the previous acharyas. Therefore, there is no need to ask for further proof. That is the meaning of nirnitam. Concluded, case closed, no scope for further discussion, like that. Then he says, this is for all. Yoginam nripa nirnitam harer namanu kirtanam. He says, etan nirvidyamananam ichchatam akutobhayam yoginam. For all these four categories of people, the bhaktas, the jnanis, the karmis and yogis, the highest means of attaining perfection is Harer Namanu Kirtanam. Even the lowest of humanity who cannot tolerate the service to the Lord are not opposed to this process of chanting. So, they may not accept personally serving the Lord, Murti Puja, they may not like, but still they will appreciate chanting of the holy names. So, it fulfills everyone's desires, not just for sadhakas. Even the siddhas' desires are fulfilled by chanting or any other process of devotional service. Therefore, bhakti is called Yatsyat Sarvatra Sarvada. It is the only process which can be practiced by everyone under all circumstances at all times. During the stage of practice and during the stage of perfection. So like that, and it fulfills everyone's desires. Okay, so then now we will discuss a few themes. No discussion of the holy name is complete without discussing at least something from the episode of Ajamil. So we will discuss a few verses glorifying the holy name from the episode of Ajamil from the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. 6th canto in fact starts with the episode of Ajamila. So this is from the conversation between the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas. The Yamadutas have come to arrest Ajamil and take him back to the Yamaloka. And right on time the Vishnudutas also arrive there and they stop the Yamadutas from taking Ajamila. So then the Yamadutas are surprised and confused, and then the Vishnudutas ask, what is your understanding of dharma? Explain, we want to really be sure that you are actually the followers of Yamaraj. So Yama is Yama Dharma Raja, he knows dharma. So if you are followers of Yama Dharma Raja, you should know dharma. So tell us what is your understanding of dharma and why you are taking Ajamil. So they gave the whole history of Ajamil, what is dharma, what is adharma, and how Ajamil had committed all kinds of adharma and he had not performed any prayaschitta. So therefore we are taking him. Now at this point the Vishnuduta starts speaking about why the Yamaduta should not take Ajamil. And what did Ajamil do? The only good thing that Ajamil did was to name his son Narayan. And he started calling him Narayan, Narayan, Narayan like that. So now he says, the Vishnudutas are telling Yamadutas, Ayam hi krita nirvesho janma koti amhasamapi yad vyajahara vivasho nama swastyayanam harehe. So he says that Ayam, this Ajamil, krita nirvesho, he has attained, he has performed all kinds of atonements. The Yamadutas are scratching their head. Atonement? He has not done a single atonement. What atonement he has done? He says, Janma koti amhasamapi. He has committed atonement for the sins he has committed in 1 million births. Why? How? When? Vivasho vyajahara harehe swastyanam nama. When he helplessly cried out the name of Lord Narayan, at that very moment, all kinds of atonements had been already performed. So the Yamadutas may say, you are castigating us, but what offenses have we and our master committed in taking away Ajamil to purify him? We are taking him away to purify him by punishing him because he has not performed any kind of atonement. They say, the Vishnudutas say, that is your foolishness, you don't know. The moment he helplessly called out the name of Lord Narayan, at that very moment, not just one sin, but 10 million lifetimes, whatever sins he has committed, all sins have been washed away. Then they say, Ete naiva hi agonosya kritam syad aganishkritam yada narayanayeti jagada chaturaksharam. Narayana, 4 aksharas. Yada jagada etena chaturaksharam narayanaya iti. When he chanted these 4 letters Narayana, aganishkritam, atonement, asya kritam agonah. For all the sins that he has committed, already atonement has been accomplished. Don't you note this? But one may say, but Ajamil did not chant with awareness. that this was atonement. So every person who performs the Karmakandiya Prayaschitta, he knows for what sin he is committing this Prayaschitta. He knows that by performing this Prayaschitta or atonement, my sins will be washed away. But Ajamil did not chant the holy name with that mood. And he was not even calling out for the Supreme Lord. He was calling out his son Narayan. Come on. How can you speak like this? He was not calling Narayan. He was calling his son, whose name is Narayan. And he did not even know that it is going to cause some atonement. How can you say like this? So the Vishnudutas say, seems like you don't know the truth. You have not done your homework properly. Go back to Yamaraj and learn the rules and regulations properly. Being materialistic, once I remember, I am sorry, for all my materialistic conditionings. Once I remember long time back watching a cricket match when the batsman hit the ball and it was fielded by the fielder, and the batsman was, this is an international match which is all the more surprising. The fielder threw the ball towards the stumps to run out the batsman who was standing outside the crease. And the batsman very innocently blocked the ball with his bat. And the umpire raised his hands and said, out. And the batsman went and started arguing with the umpire, how can you call me out? What did I do? And he said, don't you know that you are not supposed to block the ball? The fielder threw the ball at the stumps to run you out. How could you block the ball? You are standing outside the crease. Apparently he didn't know the proper rules of run out. And this was in an international game. And it is all the more embarrassing. So therefore the Yamadutas making such statement, Vishnudutas are shocked. How come you don't know the rules? Even by calling for his son while not seeking to make atonement of the sinner was accomplished. So powerful is the holy name of the Lord that even though he called for his son, but still that calling also destroys sins because it is the name of the Supreme Lord. Just chanting at this time for his son is the atonement for all his sins. That is why in today's day and age, we keep all different kinds of names. We want a very fancy name for our child. The name of the Lord has long out of fashion. No one wants to, even if they just out of some ritual or some cultural considerations, they may give one name, Rama, Narayana, like that. But while calling, they will call him some other name, which may have nothing to do with the name of the Supreme Lord. But even calling the name of one's son or relative is so powerful that it can destroy all sins. But someone may say, oh, but previously he chanted in ungrammatical language. He may not even have called Narayana. Like I have a cousin brother whose name is Narayan. Very dear cousin brother. So our whole family, each one used to call him with a different nickname. Someone used to call him Naru, someone used to call him Nari, and different types of Nanu, all these different types of things, It was ungrammatical language. No one used to call him Narayan. These are some of the decent ways in which we used to call him. Whereas a few indecent ways also we used to call him. So here he says, no, what to speak of 4 aksharas, Narayana, even if one of those syllables is there, that itself is sufficient for extricating one from the sins. But chanting the Lord's name in 2 syllables or even 1 syllable also destroys sins. Na is sufficient. So whether it is Nanu or Nari or Naru, doesn't matter. Na is there, which is a part of Narayana, that 1 akshara is sufficient. Then they say, now we will tell you the glories of the holy name. Stenaha, Surapo, Mitradrug, Brahmaha, Guru Talpaga, Stri, Raja, Pitru, Go, Hanta, Yecha Patakino Picha, Patakino Apare, Sarvesham api Agavatam, Idam eva Sunishkritam, Nama Vyaharanam Vishnor, Yatastad Vishayamatihi. They say, Vishnoho Nama Vyaharanam, chanting the holy names of Lord Vishnu, eva Sunishkritam is the only most potent way of attaining atonement, performing atonement. Stenaha, a thief, Surapo, a drunkard, Mitradrug, one who betrays a friend or a relative, Brahmaha, a killer of a Brahmana, Guru Talpaga, one who has inappropriate relationships with his guru's wife, Stri, Raja, Pitru, Gohanta, one who kills a woman or a king or one's own ancestors or a cow, Yecha Patakino Apare, and whatever other kind of sinful people that you may think of, Nama Vyaharanam Vishnor, Yatastad Vishayamatihi. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, all such sinful persons, they not just overcome their sins, but they attract the attention of the Lord. The moment such a sinful person chants the holy name, it is not just that the sin is gone. The Supreme Lord becomes very attentive to such a person. Oh, some devotee is calling me. Devotee. Stenaha, Surapo, Mitradrug, Brahmaha, Gurutalpaga, he is a devotee. He said, forget it. He chanted my name. Devotee. So, Vishnu Dutas are telling, you do your homework right. You can't just pick up anyone and everyone. Then they say, Nanishkritair uditair brahmavadibis tata vishuddhatyagavan vratadibihi yata harer nama padair udahritais taduttama shloka gunopalambakam. He says, in fact, all these various kinds of prayaschitta that you are talking about, they have no capability. They don't have any capability. They may purify one sin or two sins. But even by chanting one holy name or even a part of that holy name, it can purify unlimited sins. Why? Tad uttama shloka guna upalambakam. Because chanting that holy name produces realization of the qualities of the Supreme Lord. Nama Rupa Guna Leela. Nama introduces us to Rupa and then Guna and then Leela. At the stage of Nishta, the Nama makes us qualified to see the Rupa or realize the Rupa of the Lord. And at the stage of Ruchi, Guna. And at the stage of Asakti, Leela. And then one gets complete realization of the Supreme Lord at the stage of Bhava and Prema. So in this way, Yad Uttama Shloka Gunopalambakam. Don't underestimate the name of the Lord. It is not the name of a material person. It is the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Abhinnatvad Nama Namino. It is not different from Him. So he says that not only does the name uproot sin completely, but it makes one realize the qualities, beauty, power and sweetness of the Supreme Lord. Tad uttama shloka gunopalambakam. Like that. Then, in the next verse he says, Naikantikam taddi kritepi nishkrite mana punardavati ched asatpate tat karma nirharam abhipsatam harir gunanuvada kalu sattva bhavana. He says, Tad krite nishkrite api. Even after performing all those various kinds of prayaschitta or atonements, manah punar asatpate davati. Have you observed that the mind still runs behind those material enjoyment? Tad, therefore, ekantikam karma nirharam abhipsatam. one who destroys complete destruction of sinful activities, including sinful desires and sinful vasanas. Harehe guna anuvadaha. Continuous chanting of the holy name and qualities of the Lord is the only means of purification. Otherwise, the sinful reaction of one or two sins may be destroyed by prayaschitta, but the sinful desires will not be destroyed. So someone may say, why are you criticizing committing sins after performing prayaschitta? You are glorifying your devotees. When the devotees perform some sinful activities, you say it is like biting off a snake without poisoned fangs. When a person who is performing karmakandiya prayaschitta, when he again performs a sinful activity, you criticize him. But devotees also, after taking up to bhakti, after knowing that it is a sinful activity, they also many times perform sinful activities. You want to call them sadhu, and you want to call these people sincerely performing karmakandiya prayaschitta, you are criticizing them. Isn't this double standard? For you, it is biting of a snake with whose poisoned fangs have been removed. For us, it is biting of a poisoned snake. Why this double standard? Someone may ask. So the Vishnudutas say, look, you are mistaken. Let us discuss from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. You don't speculate. Our explanation of the holy name is valid because there are so many statements in the Shastras glorifying the holy name in this way. They really tell about the holy name, that it destroys even the sinful desires. It is not imagination. Now, we will give you all the Shastras. You search all the Shastras, do a folio search or whatever search you want to do, and you find out one statement which says that this karmakandiya prayaschitta destroys the sinful desires and sinful vasanas within the heart of the practitioner. We will immediately return back to Vaikuntha. We will not stop you from taking Ajamil back to the hellish planets, to Yamaloka. So here, take all these literatures, find one verse which says that the karmakandiya prayaschitta has a capability of destroying the sinful desires and vasanas within the heart of the practitioner. How can you make your claim, since there are no statements in the scriptures concerning atonement which claim destruction of sinful desires? Like that. Therefore, they say, Atainam ma panayata kritasheshaga nishkritam yadasau bhagavan nama mriyamana samagrahit. Ata, therefore, yenam ma apanayata, do not take Ajamil, krita ashesha aganishkritam, who has performed unlimited atonements, that beyond what you can even imagine. He has committed all kinds of atonements. How? Asau bhagavan nama samagrahit, because he has perfectly chanted the name of the Lord while dying. So while dying, chanting the name of the Lord is not easy. A very interesting point the Vishnudutas are going to make here. We will end today's discussion with this discussion. Please hear and reflect carefully. He say, therefore do not take Ajamil, because he has done unlimited atonements, and the proof is that at the time of dying he chanted the holy name of the Lord, which means there must be no sins. Samagrahit, because Bhagavad Gita says, Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridavrata. But those whose sins have been destroyed by pious acts, here chanting of the holy name, being free of ignorance arising from duality, by worshipping me, then worship me with determination. Here was Ajamil chanting with determination at the time of death, as Krishna also says, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yap prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshaya. It is not very easy, my dear Yamadutas, to chant the holy name at the time of death. It indicates actually an exalted position. How did Ajamil become so exalted? Because right from that time he named his son Narayan. From that time, every time he chanted the name Narayan, 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 sufficient purification had happened. And at the end of his life, when he chanted the name Narayan, at that time, that is why he could chant the name of the Lord at the time of death. It cannot accidentally happen. Therefore, Krishna says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha mayarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasya samshayah. Therefore, if you want to remember me at the time of death, remember me at all times. And if you cannot remember me at all times, abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagamina paramam purusham divyam yati partanu chintayan. Practice to remember me at all times. Like that. Thus, by the appearance of the name or its non-appearance while dying, one can infer the presence or absence of offenses. Because Ajamil could chant the holy name at the time of death, this proves that he was free from offenses. Therefore, samagrahit, he perfectly accepted the process and chanted the holy name. Therefore, he should not be taken by you. Okay, so we have few more verses from the episode of Ajamil glorifying the holy name. So this will continue tomorrow. So thank you very much for your very patient listening. Hoping to have your association tomorrow also. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.